water runoff is a very big concern, you know.
That'll be additional runoff probably.
It will be additional runoff. I was told that they were looking at putting in they wanted to put in maybe a gravel parking lot, and the first picture I was given, it did show that, and when I talked to the fire chief, he told me eventually it will be paved. There is no storm system out there. The only storm system out there is the field, the ditch. Right behind my property there is what I call a water runoff ditch. There's a stretch that's about 600 feet by not quite up, depending on what area you go into, maybe 80 feet wide. It serves two purposes. It collects the water from the field for water runoff, and on top of the hill there is already a retention pond. And that retention pond, once that pond gets so full, it overflows into a tube that's up there, and it drops down and flows into this area, this what I call a waterway or a runoff point, and then it's dispersed. And then the deepest areas out there, it's probably 2.5, 3 feet deeper than what the field is. And like I said, that's kind of a collection point too. From looking at the pictures that I received from Mr. Platts, this area is right where they want to put their training facility, which will, with the addition of a parking lot, which I found out later, the parking lot will have to be paved. So it will be gravel for some time, but eventually it will be paved. So that's going to add to the problem, and the reduction of this area that collects water already will be an added. Will only add to the problem. It was suggested maybe that a retention pond be added, or further down in the line, and it's like, well, then that just is going to be a mosquito haven. I mean, there's already a retention pond that's on this property, and there's already an existing driveway that is not being utilized. Like I said, we're not against the training facility. We think it's a great thing. It's something that should be installed, but it just needs to be installed in a responsible location that's not going to have impact on people who live there.
Got 2 or 3 neighbors down the way. Are they affected at all too?
Actually, the neighbor directly to the west of me, he was hit harder than what I was, because he's a little bit lower than what I am, and then it goes down to it used to be Bromley's was out there.
Yeah.
And Bromley's ended up, well,
Yeah, we bought them out.
They got bought out.
Yeah, because they would get hit with runoff off the highway and off the farm field. That would flood them first, and then the creek would come up, and they get a second beat from the creek.
Yes. Like I said, I guess my concern is, of course, for my family, myself, and my property. The neighbors are very concerned about this, and then my concern is, if you want to do a retention pond, like I said, there's already one that's there. Why build another one? And why, that water still has to go somewhere, and then if you can't take it to the ditch, it's gonna have to run off behind the property. And my neighbor's property goes back adjacent to this, where they're proposing that this might go. I have not seen any further plans or updates. What bothers me is I get a letter that they're moving out here, is the way it's proposed. It's not, we're moving out here, we're gonna be your neighbors, and this is what we're gonna do. Nobody knew anything about this. It's like, can we have a chance to look at and talk about this before it gets put in? Because there are concerns that when we brought them up, they were not even aware of it. This was a month ago.
Anybody have any other questions?
I'm not a very good speaker. Well, after talking with the fire chief and bringing up these issues with him, he was gonna get back to me on the issue by the end of the week. I never heard from him the next day. My son was the one, we have a 4-week old at home.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And, so I was off the rest of the week for that, home all week, never heard anything from him, so, well, you wonder, is something moving ahead and nobody's contacted me after they found out that there's issues out here, so ended up talking with an attorney. The attorney and I wrote up a letter, and the letter, this, I believe you are the recipients of the second round. The first round went to the city council, Mr. Platts, I believe, Mr. Trout received one, and I don't remember, Deb Kerr, or Durr, excuse me, from the NIACC, the president of NIACC, and every one of the board members of NIACC. And that was on October 4th of this year. They get a response from a couple of the council members, later on talking with the council, this was, how they found out about it was from the letter from my attorney and myself. So they were as surprised about it as what I was, so.
So you're letting us know because you're concerned about standing water and if they go ahead with another paving.
Well, my concern is there's already an existing problem out there. They were not aware of it, and when I brought it to their attention, I was told I was gonna have a response or get back to me and let me know what, you know, what was going on and where things stood with it. And I never got anything. It's like, well, geez, what, you know, what do I do? You know, this is where I live. Like I said, I live here. I mean, I'm concerned with my property. My property is my biggest investment.
Sounds like you've gone through the correct channels as far as informing.
Well, I would like to think that I have.
I do have a question about, have you talked to anybody in Eastbrook?
It was brought to my attention that a council member had brought it up to City Hall that wanted to know if anybody was addressed. Either one of my neighbors had received a letter. They found out about it from me asking them. It was brought up to City Hall if Eastbrook was addressed, because Eastbrook is right to the north and west. This is where, if it doesn't go to my ditch, it's gonna go to the creek, and I know people on Jamestown already have issues with this, with water already. So when it was brought up, they said no. I have talked to a couple people out in Eastbrook, and they are still not aware of it. And that was just as of 2 days ago. So something has changed between 2 days ago and today. I'm not aware of it.
When is construction slated to start?
Well, from what I have read in the newspaper, grant money was given to NIACC back in 2006. It has to be used by June of 2011. Which is in 8 months. We are now getting into winter, which is, you know, we're not gonna have construction for 3 or 4 months, well, that leaves them with 4 months of good construction weather if we have a mild winter. So I'm assuming that before June of 2011, they wanna get going on this. It's, from my understanding, to use it or lose it, grant. So, I know other sites have been looked at in the city. I know it does not even, from what I understand and from what I've read, it doesn't even have to be on NIACC property, because I know the property has been looked at. Like I said, if they want to put it at NIACC, that's great. They have many, many acres out there where it can be put where it's not gonna have impact on people who live out there.
Thank you. So we can discuss this later and see if there's anything, any response we would like to make.
Well, I would like to thank you for your
You are
Thanks.
welcome.
listening.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you.